Hey, folks, great to see that StreamYard is working and we are here with people in the audience listening and participating. That's great. I'm going to be a little transparent. StreamYard was not working for me to get signed in on time this morning. So I am a little reticent. If the feed dies, we'll do our best to jump back in. But please don't hold it against us if we have a technical difficulty today, because I'm not too sure about what I'm seeing on screen. That said, folks, if you are here, if you've been here before, you already know. Put your questions and answers and comments and things in the chat. If you're new, that's where the stuff goes. So if you're watching us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, any of that, feel free to use your comment section to get us going and have a conversation with us. If you are new to Lifter and you want to try Lifter out, try lifterlms.com/try, lifterlms.com/try, and that'll give you the ability to go ahead and give us a test run. And lastly, for my answers to start the show today, I'm going to say you too can get a 55% off coupon by going to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. /AMA-gift. I'm starting to think I sound like that Don Pardo guy does the announcements for late night TV. Get your 55% off coupon here. All right. There is we already got some comments. Let's welcome Delphine to the call. Delphine is to the call, and let's see, we got Judy Butler and Gary Alderson so far. Amanda Baldwin, she's going to give me a smiley face. She just jumped in. Gary is from Winnipeg. So Gary, welcome to the call again. Delphine, looks like you have a question or something long written down. So give me just a moment to clear this off the screen, and then we'll jump in and we'll go to you, and we'll see what the heck Delphine has for us today. Good morning from Merritt, British Columbia. How do you enter certificate information manually into the LifterLMS system? I feel like I've heard that one before too. Secondly, can we use MailChimp to send out automated reminders? And can you please demonstrate how to do this? That could be, I suppose, all of our exams are external to our website. Oh, so can you please demonstrate how to do this? That could be, I suppose, all of our exams are external to our website. So you're running your quizzes and your tests somewhere else and then having Lifter do the certificate. Therefore, we need to enter the data manually to take advantage of the email automation process. That's pretty interesting. Do you know how to answer that one, Emily?
Let's see. So entering certificate data manually into Lifter. If I share my window.
I'm going to take the question off screen so we can all see the screen.
Yeah. So here I'm in the back end of a LifterLMS website. If I want to enter certificate information manually, there's two ways to do it. I can either build a new certificate template from scratch, or I can take a pre-existing certificate template that I already have, go to awarded certificates, add a new awarded certificate. And usually how this works is that you set up an engagement to award a certificate automatically upon completion of a course, completion of a quiz, or something like that. But you can come click new awarded certificate. You can award it to a certain student, type in their name, select them, and then the template. If we do the quick start course template that I already have, I can create a draft. We could also start from scratch if we wanted to build something all the way from scratch. This will load in that student's information into this existing template. I don't know what block contains invalid content. Maybe that's the certificate title. But we can modify this however we want to. We can preview it. And whenever we're happy with the information, whatever you're going to be typing manually into the certificate, you can add in here. It looks pretty good out of the box, but if we're putting in like a license number or something like that, or notes from the instructor, whatever you want to do. This is WordPress block editor, so you can format this however you want to. You could mitigate a little spacing here and then add a line of text beneath it. Whatever custom information you want to do, then you're going to click publish, publish, and now this certificate will be available for that student on their dashboard. So that's manual certificates.
You know, I'm looking at the comment, and I'm gonna run the risk of addressing this from another position. She says, exams take place either in person or online in an external website. I need to enter all of that data manually into our system so that we can send out email reminders. How do I do that? I just went through this with a client yesterday that is doing live workshops, and they want to use the LifterLMS system for like enrollment and tracking attendance, but they're not even using the quizzes or the tests that are available in LifterLMS. They're doing everything in a classroom. And then they're like, well, how do we just add in their test results? And I'm like, how do you just add in the test results? Like we're not built that way. Like, we're not built that way out of the box. So maybe you could add something with custom fields to reporting, and then reporting would be ported over to some field in the certificate. You can, and I just want to make sure that people understand this, you can go into reporting as an admin or an instructor, and you can go to a course and you can go to a lesson, and under actions, you can complete their lesson. You can manually complete them. And when they're completed, you could have that trigger be like, when this is complete, issue a certificate. But if you're trying to add in like the questions, the answers, and the grading, it's almost like you need to use switch user and become that person and duplicate the quiz and test. Am I making any sense, Emily? Am I going crazy?
I'm not fully tracking. Like, what do you mean? Like, each user has their own course and stuff like that?
If they're using the system to do like attendance for a in-person class,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a quiz that they give out or a final test that they give it out on paper. And then they're like, how do I import all that information from the test into the LMS? And I'm like, you don't. Unless you impersonate the person through the switch user plugin, become them, sign into the test and complete the test, and have the system grade it.
You mean to bring in that grade data?
Yeah, to bring in the question activities and the grade data.
Yeah. You could do that. You could also do something with like CRM automations where you could pass the data to the WordPress website in the form of a passing percentage or something like that. But yeah, if you're trying to pass data from their answers to the quiz into the certificate, that's a little complicated and might be custom coding.
I know that both Gary and I am out of it today. I'm sorry. Delphine and Gary both work together and are using MailChimp. So I know that they have MailChimp, but I don't know how they would use. So they want to know how to use MailChimp to do like a 5-year annual reminder for recertification. That's fairly easy. Like, when this certificate is given, set a reminder in the CRM to send an email to, nudge them to recertify. That's all done through the MailChimp integration with LifterLMS. But as far as quizzing and testing off the system and then expecting those results to be in the system, there's nothing out of the box to make that happen.
Right. Yeah. Yep. That's a little more advanced.
Okay.
And then Delphine said in chat, I just need to enter a student name, email, mark, so that a certificate would be automatically issued if necessary, but we would ignore that issuing the certificate because the student receives it from elsewhere. I need the data, but not actually the certificate. And the data is name, email, and mark.
And the grade. I guess the mark is the grade.
Yeah. So a certificate would automatically be issued if necessary, but we would ignore that issuing of the certificate because the student receives it from elsewhere. So you need the data. Name and email are relatively simple, but the grade data inside of WordPress, like what I'm curious what you're doing inside of WordPress if they're taking the quiz elsewhere and they're getting their certificate elsewhere. What does the name and email and mark do back in WordPress? I'm just like, is it just for like reporting or export reasons or completing that final lesson maybe?
Because you can go into reporting and you can mark something complete without the grade, and it would bypass any kind of assignment or quiz requirements and issue the certificate.
I mean, with a quiz or assignment present in a lesson, that little mark complete button doesn't work. You usually have to go complete it as a student or switch to that student user. But yeah, is it just for like end reporting purposes so that within Lifter they see the grade they got for the course, even though they took the quiz and got the certificate elsewhere? I think that might be what we're doing. I don't know. Let us know.
Yeah, that's unique. It's a unique one. All right. Judy said she already submitted 3 questions. I've already got some of the 3 questions loaded in here. Let's take a look at one of those. Let's say achievements. Under the triggering event, I selected student completes a lesson. Must I choose a specific lesson, or if I leave it blank, will it apply to all lessons? Can I limit the number of total achievements? Is there a way to connect achievements to my merchandise shop to redeem? I remember we talked about like something with points and was it GameyPress and the leaderboard and points and stuff like that?
Yeah, I must choose a specific lesson, or if I leave it blank, it'll apply to all lessons. Number of total achievements. Is there a way to connect achievements to merchandise shop to redeem? Yeah, that's totally something where you would need to use GameyPress. Lifter achievements aren't that complicated. The Lifter achievements are relatively straightforward. You can usually only earn an achievement one time, and so you would have to set up many achievements and set them to award for each of your individual lessons, if that's what you wanted to do. But yeah, with GameyPress, it does open up the ability to do what you want to do. And I could do kind of a quick demo of that. GameyPress is cool, and they do have an integration with LifterLMS. So I don't know if I'll be able to do the whole integration with LifterLMS, but I can show you conceptually how it'll work. They have an add-on that allows you to redeem points for purchases in a WooCommerce store. So I don't know if you can use points to buy things in LifterLMS, but if you're integrating Lifter with a third-party e-commerce system like SureCart or WooCommerce, it should work for you. Let's find, where did the GameyPress stuff go on my sidebar? It should be somewhere. GameyPress. It's in the middle of the WooCommerce things. That's weird. But we can go to points types. We can add a new point type. And this can be like course points. Course point, plural name. The slug doesn't matter. Let's just publish it. And what we would do is set some points awards. We would add a new point award. So wonder if LifterLMS is automatically detected. So you can say when a user completes a quiz or completes a lesson or something, completes a lesson 1 times to unlimited, but you can also say
10 times.
Earn 1 point 10 times. But this would be if you complete 1 lesson, earn 1 point for a maximum times to earn of 10, for example, if you want to restrict them to only being able to earn 10 points total. And then you just update that. This will create a little user meta field on each user for that points type. They can earn these points, and then for purposes of leaderboards or spending in the e-commerce shop, that can be done later. Yeah, that's basically how Candy Press would work, where you could set up different ways to award points, the maximum number of points that you could get, and all of that. Candy Press is good. And then there's like little short codes that you can like display on the WordPress user dashboard to be like, this is how many points you have, and this is how you can achieve points. You have to configure the user experience a little bit manually by dropping short codes in your LifterLMS student dashboard and explaining to students what these points represent and how to earn them. But you can manually do all that on the Lifter dashboard or wherever on your website.
Okay. I owe Gary an apology.
Mm-hmm.
Right above his question says, Delphine will probably ask this as well. We are looking at starting reminder emails for our system. We must certify every 5 years. We want to be sure they do it through us. I've been looking at MailChimp and Constant Contact. But he put in the comments, we don't use MailChimp. But then above that, it says, we are looking into certificate renewal every 5 years. And then it talks about 5, then that's from somebody else. So I don't know if they just hit me multiple times or what, because the one didn't come in with a name on it, which is weird because I thought they had to have a name to submit a question. But I'll take that up with Chris. That's another issue altogether. Let's just talk about it. If I want to have a recertification program, so I'm going to say, okay, we're going to give you a certification, and then you got to get recertified every 2 years, every 3 years, every 5 years, every 27 years, whatever it is. There are ways that you could use engagements to do that. Like you could use engagements out of LifterLMS straight out of the box, and you could say, okay, I want to create an engagement that's going to send this email that you would have pre-written some email that's going to say, hey, it's been 47 months since we've seen you. You're due to certify in a couple of months. You could do that, and you could set the drip on that message based on the certification. So you could say, when someone gets the certificate, they're going to get this email 47 months later. Like you could literally do that. But, and this is a big but, I should be careful how I say it. Maybe Chris will get angry, but I consider the notifications and the engagements in LifterLMS to be like email light. Like, does it work in a pinch? Yes. Can I send messages? Yes. Can I do it? Yes. Should I do it that way? When I'm looking at a professional business that is, re-enrolling, resubscribing, redoing things with a larger audience, I think it's kind of a requirement to have a real CRM tool, and that CRM tool would give you the ability to make custom messages and real funnels. And so when I say funnels, I am not Russell Brunson. I am not selling a potato gun. When I say funnels in terms of like recertification, what I'm thinking of is an email goes out 6 months before the recertification, 4 months before the recertification, 3 months before the recertification, 60 days, 45 days, 30 days, 10 days. And this sounds like overkill, but I'm creating this funnel, and I'm creating it with some kind of conditional logic to where if they re-enroll for the course, then it drops them off the funnel so they don't keep getting emails they're not supposed to get. Email Lite inside LifterLMS isn't going to give you that kind of functionality. So you're going to want to have a CRM tool that does that again. So you can, it's kind of like when you're hosting your website. When you're hosting your website and your domain is coming due, typically they're going to say, hey, here's your 30-day notice that you're going to renew this domain. Here's a 15-day reminder. Here's a 10-day reminder. Here's a 5-day reminder. Hey, if you don't renew this by tomorrow, you're going to lose your domain. Those messages are all done through what they call a funnel. And so to me, whether it's MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or Fluent CRM or any one of the choices for CRM tools, almost all of them give you the ability to do that. And you can connect or integrate with LifterLMS so that the trigger is when the course is completed and a certificate is issued, you set a gap or a time to when that message gets sent by the CRM tool. Did I talk too much? Was that enough?
No, that makes sense.
Okay. And again, you could do it out of the box. So I'm going to say something a little more opinionated. I'm not really a big fan of using MailChimp for that stuff anymore. I used to use MailChimp a decade ago. I don't really subscribe to that. Their pricing models changed a little bit, and some of what they do has changed a little bit. You already have a site, you have a property, you have something that's yours if you're doing this project. And so I tend to be in favor of CRMs that are attached to my website themselves. So I have a project that still has Groundhog on it, and then I'm a big fan of Fluent CRM as well. I like them because they integrate with Lifter at a high level, and they will sync with the user database that's in my website. And so all of that stuff is synced on my site, does triggers and automations within my site, and it's very clear. I don't need third-party tools or automation tools to make things happen, because in most cases, everything I need to have happen is right there. So that's kind of something that I go into. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to wait for Emily to come back to take care of you on that one, Brett. Brett's got a question in there. Then we got that one. Then we have Judy with the triggering event. Then we have I lost track of where we're at. Here we go. I don't know if we covered this one or not. We may have. Judy, for engagements. If I choose student completes a lesson as my trigger, must I select the lesson or leave it blank to apply to all lessons? I think you have to select the lesson.
You have to select a lesson. You can't create like universal rules like that. I mean, if you're using GamiPress, you can leave it blank when it says completes a lesson one time to unlimited, but inside of the LifterLMS, I could specify this for people. So this is what GamiPress looks like, what we were talking about. So we could say completes a lesson or completes a specific lesson. Those are two options. But then when we're talking about LifterLMS engagements, you don't have the option to leave these blank. So that is engagements, add new lesson. You do have to select a lesson right here, or this won't fire.
All right.
Yeah, the Lifter engagement system is relatively basic compared to something like GamiPress. It sounds like you might be entering territory where you want something like GamiPress by using by using points to redeem purchases in other places, and by creating global rules to award achievements rather than maybe individual achievements. Those two features go outside of the scope of what the Lifter achievement system out of the box does. So that's.
I am trying to manage all these messages. I'm moving along pretty good here, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got that one. I'm back to Gary Alderson. By the way, we don't have MailChimp. Delphine clarifies the government requires that exams be held off our course website. We just need the final mark and the date. Yeah, that would have to be developed, Delphine. You would have to obviously the field exists, right? But it's a result of the quiz engine inside LifterLMS. So I guess what I'm saying is you would have to create another field inside the reporting that you could add that grade to from an external source. So I think it would just need developed, and that could be as simple as that might be something that help their name code something codable. That might be something Codable would be able to jump on, because it's kind of it's a task. It's not a project.
Yeah. The final mark. One thing I might consider maybe Mater WP. This is usually the kind of thing I get into a client with over the course of an hour, lay out all their automation in their website and figure this out. But Automator WP might be able to do something like that. Automator WP, LifterLMS, or Uncanny Automator. They both work very similarly. But these add-ons are basically like Zapiers, but they work inside of WordPress. And so they have actions of mark a lesson as completed, And so if you are attempting to send email follow-ups and what you need to do is mark a lesson as completed, this may be an option to do so. I like using this one for resetting course progress. When people repurchase a certification training, I'll use this tool to reset their entire course so they can do it again. But yeah, you can mark a lesson as completed, maybe via a remote trigger. Again, that could be a little complicated. You might need an hour or two of developer time because you're probably going to be receiving a webhook, if possible, from an external source. Whatever your quiz system is, if they have the ability to use webhooks, you could use like an automator WP to say, when we receive this webhook, mark this lesson as completed. And so it would only fire the webhook if they pass the course or if they pass the quiz on your third-party system, stuff like that.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Here comes Brett. And then I'm probably going to ask you a follow-up question based on some Help Scout tickets, and I just want to make content. See, now I'm going to be greedy. Can we just make content on this call, and then I can share that with people at Help Scout?
Yeah.
From Brett, I really, really, really need to know the easiest way to customize the checkout page and password login. First off, this question always surprises me because I'm like, if you got someone convinced to convert, how bad is the checkout page that they're going to change their mind? But I digress. At the moment, I have issues with the stock options, and also people are not able to reset or get a new password. Also, the registration page, the layout is off, and there are repeating fields. I don't understand how to address the issues. One of the first questions I'm sure that we need to know is, what the heck are you building and where are you building it at? If you are using a page builder and it is not formatting the dynamic content properly, that's one thing. But there's a lot of instances where it'll be like the type of template you chose for that page. And by template, it'll, the theme has a template, and then you pick that, like, which is it? Does it have a sidebar, not a sidebar, this, that, and the other thing. Sometimes you choose a page with a sidebar, but there's no sidebar content. So now all your stuff squishes to the left. And then you wonder, well, why does this look like crap? Well, it looks like crap because you picked a page that has an invisible sidebar. Sometimes it can be as simple as that. But something that I know Emily has covered in the past and has some YouTube content to back it up is you absolutely can make, a custom course catalog page, a custom membership catalog page, a custom dashboard page, and a custom checkout page. You just use the LifterLMS shortcodes to fill in where that dynamic content would go. Is that something you could show pretty quickly, Emily, just to kind of maybe one of those examples, and then it kind of gives them an idea of where to go and where to find things?
Yeah. So the easiest way to customize the checkout page. If I jump to my WordPress site, this will be different depending on what theme that you're using. But not very much different. In LifterLMS forms, this is where a lot of the work we're going to be doing is, as far as customizing our registration page and our billing information or checkout page. And so if you're using a side note is if you're using LifterLMS custom fields, you'll have the ability to create new forms and assign each course and even each access plan a different checkout if you wanted to. But as far as customizing the checkout page, this is going to be the main place to do it. So if I jump into a course as well, I didn't get it fast enough. Let me go back and get a course. So we can look at this change as I'm modifying it. And so you might observe differences in your experience modifying the checkout page. And if you write those experiences into support and be like, oh, I saw this in the video, but this didn't look quite right on my end. This is what I see. I'm currently logged in and viewing as myself, but if I view as a visitor, I don't know if it changes anything on this page. I'm pretty sure this feature doesn't do anything here. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. But what I have on my billing information page is email, password, first name, last name. Now, since I'm logged in as a WordPress user already, it's not asking me for my email and password. It's just asking me for my first and last name. But if I wanted to add something like an address field, user address, it'll go there on the bottom. And if I save it and then reload my purchase page, that will be on here. And then I could also add custom fields if I'm an Infinity Bundle subscriber or I'm using the custom fields add-on. So this is how we can customize the checkout page a little bit. Now I know if we are using a paid checkout plan, this is going to be a little bit different. It's going to look a little bit different. So let's go back and make this a paid plan. And also, I'm looking at the checkout page in LifterLMS SkyPilot. That's my theme. Yeah, and so depending on the theme you're using, they're going to have different default styles for how the LifterLMS checkout page is supposed to look. So if I'll change my theme in a moment, so you'll see what I'm talking about. But and I'm using the WooCommerce integration, so that makes everything complicated. Let me turn that off. Let me disable the WooCommerce integration because we don't need that right now. So WooCommerce. If you're customizing the Lifter checkout page, I'm assuming you're not using WooCommerce. Reload. There we go. So if we go back down to the access plan, make it paid, we can now set a price of $100, one-time payment, whatever we want to set for this. Let's save our access plans. And then I can visit the checkout page again, right here, copy that URL, paste it in my URL bar. We'll see a little bit of a different layout now that payment is involved. But like I said, this will change based on your theme. So if I were to swap to an Astra theme or a Cadence theme, we'll see a little bit of a different layout. So if I go to Appearance Themes, and then I go to Astra and I activate it, and then I reload, I think it's a 2-column layout. Yeah, there it goes. So it's a little bit of a 2-column layout. It looks a little bit differently, and this can all be customized with CSS, but you can see that the billing information content is the same over here, but the payment details look a little bit different, and they're on the right-hand side. Cadence will also make it look a little bit different. So depending on your theme and depending on how you modify this LifterLMS Forms billing information, you'll see different content. A side note is that you can also add like a testimonial here. You don't need to just put the LifterLMS blocks on this page. You can also add like a little testimonial block if you want to, or text blocks, or a 30-day refund policy. I would remove all these short codes. That looks like a mess. But if we imagine that those are genuine testimonials, that could help people convert to purchase. So there are some customizations that you can make to that page. And then as far as seeing duplicate content, I have no clue what you're seeing. So if you share that to support, they might be like, oh, we see what's going on. Give them temporary access to a staging copy of your website. They can log in and break it and figure out exactly what's going on. But that's how it should work.
That's how it should work. All right. In your answer, you said something that is what I was going to ask for anyway. It matches a lot of our requests lately. You mentioned you can change it with CSS.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to tell people how to do it, but it's like they got to see it. So let's say someone's on the My Dashboard page and they've got course cards on the My Dashboard page. The course cards on the My Dashboard page, they come with the featured image, the author of the course, the difficulty level of the course, how many lessons are in the course, and I can't remember the last thing. Let's say they want to take out difficulty, or they want to do like a display none, right, in CSS, but they don't know where to get the CSS from in the Chrome inspector, and they don't know where to put it. And it could be SkyPilot, Cadence, whatever. It doesn't matter because all those have the option for custom CSS, but they don't know where, like they don't know what to do with it. So let's say we want to get rid of advanced and we want to get rid of the author.
Yeah. So all themes are going to be a little bit different as to where you place the CSS. A lot of classic themes like Astra or Cadence, they have a settings area called Appearance Customize. It's like an old customizer. It's got settings on the right-hand side, and one of those settings is additional CSS where you can paste in your CSS. SkyPilot looks a little bit different. So if I open up Edit Site, this is where I'll add my CSS, and then I'll show you what the CSS is that you'll want to add. And if anyone's curious, I can show you where to put this in Cadence and Astra, but it's just Appearance Customize Additional CSS. But here, this is different because this is SkyPilot. We're going to click on Styles, and then we're going to get stuck because it's not even here. It's a secret. It's these 3 dots for more additional CSS. So
It's
that's yeah, it's total secret. But then once you type something in here and save it, there's an error with your structure. But it'll be on the bottom here. Now that I've used this feature one time, it'll be down here. When I go to styles, it'll be additional CSS at the bottom. Now, CSS code is something you kind of have to play with a little bit to get it completely right. You might have to change what exactly you're selecting. I'll show you here. So if I right click and inspect, I'm in Google Chrome, but this will work similarly in Firefox or Safari. As I hover over these elements on the right-hand side of the page, you can see the colors are going crazy on the left. It's telling me exactly what I'm selected on. And if I open up these elements, I can see more specifically within this div, there's an image, and then that's what the image is. And then I can see the little text that's to the right. But both of these are contained within this div.lms author. But what we wanted to remove was this advanced meta, and then also
let's just do one because I'm looking at the time. It doesn't need to be that long, but just pick one field and get rid of it.
Sure. So you can see on the left-hand side when I'm selected on this, we have div.lms author or LLMS author. So if I click on this, I can actually get rid of this notification because that's really annoying. We can go to the styles tab, and then you can take like a 15-minute, 20-minute tutorial on YouTube as well about how to do custom CSS, and that would apply to WordPress as well. But we'll click the plus icon, we get .lms author. Let's copy that and paste it over here, and then display none. It takes a little bit to learn the syntax of how this works, but if you already know CSS, you'll see a little bit about how to apply this. And let's see if that works. I don't know if it'll work. Looks like it did not. So maybe we need to do div LMS author. This is a great example. Div LMS author, save. And nope, it's still there. So we might need here loop item content LMS author. Let's try this one. So this is a good example of where you need to like play around with exactly what it is that you want to hide from your page and just kind of reload. Eventually we'll get it, but you just play with this feature. I haven't removed the author item from here in a long time.
We could move something else.
We could move something else.
I feel like I've done something bad now.
Oh, we see display none is not applying. So why isn't this applying? We could try the important variable. We could say important. Boop, boop. Where's my dashboard? Reload. There it goes. So I needed to declare that that was an important line of CSS and that you should not ignore it. So you saw how it took me a minute to play around with the selector, and I've been doing CSS for a lot of years for clients on custom websites. So if it takes you 15, 20 minutes to figure out how to remove one item, don't be too hard on yourself. It takes me the same amount of time.
I would say if it takes you less than an hour, pat yourself on the back, because this is the part where people that work with agencies actually seem to get frustrated, but you're frustrated for the wrong idea. For instance, you might contact an agency, and an agency will say, "Oh, sure, we can do that for you. That'll be $287." And you go, oh, $287. All they got to do is, throw some code in there. And okay, well then, if you don't want to pay the $287, go ahead and do it. Like, there's tutorials on YouTube. Go figure that out, and that'll be great. And 3 days later, you'll call back and say, "Is it still $287? I'll just give you the money," because that's agencies aren't going to penalize themselves because they're better and faster at something, right? That's actually where the value comes from. So I find working in WordPress is getting real interesting that way, because you can run to AI and ask the question. You could say, "Hey, look at this page and give me custom CSS code that would get rid of this, this, and this." And it might send you something, but chances are it's going to be verbose and ineffective. And when you put it in where they say to put it, it ain't going to work. I've been running into that a lot lately. So Thanks for making that little piece of stuff, because then I can just refer people to that when they keep sending me the same requests. So that is awesome. I'll have to bookmark that link and then send it to folks. But I tell people I've been doing this since 2004, and I get a lot of requests for custom CSS, and some of it I'm comfortable with, and some of it I'm like, you know what? That needs to be developed. I'm going to have to bring in somebody for that. And it's because I'm not going to spend 6 hours trying to customize your web page for you. I'll pay someone that knows what they're doing to do it. And it's that way for a lot of creators. But I go back to kind of my offhanded snarkish comment at the beginning of the call, though, and that is, why do we always want to have to customize everything? Because if they already made a decision to purchase, or if they're already a user in your website, why does seeing the author of the course on the course card seem like such an obstacle, right? Because it's part of like how the system was made. So just use it as it was made. But the person already made the purchase decision. They already have the course, and it's just a piece of information on the card. But time and time again, people want to remove it. I'm like, okay, we can, but it's not a click in your settings file. It is something you have to actually do. And then over time, you need to babysit it in case the code doesn't work or doesn't take. I'm only seeing one more question in here that we've got to address, and that is from Juan. And I'm almost wondering if it disappeared. Where did it go? There it is. I found it. Whew. God, we got a lot going on today in here. We got a lot going on in here today. Juan says, is there a CRM tool that integrates with Lifter that allows creating landing pages for different purposes, like onboarding or marketing?
Yeah, you can. This is a really good question. You can use something like HubSpot, where that is a platform in addition to a CRM, where you create landing pages and sales pages through something like HubSpot. Mm-hmm. You can use third-party tools like Zapier or WP Fusion to integrate your HubSpot purchases into LifterLMS students who are taking courses. You can also build all your landing pages inside of WordPress, bring a Fluent CRM or Groundhog into your WordPress. So you're running your CRM landing pages, everything through the backend of WordPress, but you could even run landing pages and sales externally and bring people in just for the learning in WordPress. There's a lot of options for CRM tools that actually host content for you.
Yeah. It's like I think about like ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft or some of those, and I'm like, nah, that wouldn't be my first thought for that. But when I think about ones that profess to be marketing tools like HubSpot does have landing pages. MailChimp has landing pages. But here's the thing that always gets me. I'm a contrarian today, Emily. I'm a contrarian. I'm telling you, I can't fix it. Like when you say, does it create the landing page? It's like, create the landing page with what? Like, what did you give it? Content? Did you give it information? Are you looking for artificial intelligence to scrape your website and then make your marketing material for you? Like, you have to understand, like, what's the use case? What are we really talking about? And then what is a landing page? To me, a landing page is a one-page thing that communicates something that has a call to action. Like, that's a landing page. And so, do I create multiple landing pages within my own website? And then if I create those landing pages, should a landing page really have a header and a footer, or should they be, without a header and a footer? They should just be like a flyer, right? There's all kinds of ways to think about what is a landing page, but then thinking about, how do you create the thing? How does it communicate for you? What is its call to action? And then what do you want to see that landing page do? So could HubSpot create landing pages for me? Yes. With what information, right? That's like the next thing, right? So in the end, you still end up having to create the landing page, and you end up having to manage the creation of that landing page and its connection to the CRM. It's not an automated process. And my fear is, even if it were an automated process, it would be ineffectual, because there's a certain human element, human contact things that increases sales and connectivity. So that's where I'm going. I would probably do an internal CRM pages within my own site that I made, that I developed, that I connected to some type of automation. That automation would be, I make the page, it has a call to action with a form. They put in their email. Based on the content I put on the page, I convince them to put in their email to get something, whether it's a lead magnet, a white paper, access to a mini course, whatever. And then the automation is in the CRM that says, once I receive this form, they get added to this lead list, and that lead list gets forwarded the link or the asset that is, what they signed up for. So there's a series of things that you create in that. Now, whether you create that in your own website with an inbound, on hand CRM, or you port that out through automation tools and things like that to MailChimp or other things, completely your choice. Oh, I got a sneeze coming.
Yeah. Bless you. Everyone, bless you in the chat.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I probably over answered the question. It's just, and it's not just for that person. It's for everyone that's watching the replay of this. I am having an unbelievably high volume of, can't this just be created, and can I just implement this automatically? Like, I'm having a ton of those questions. And I think a lot of us are thinking of AI in terms of intelligence that hasn't learned yet. That might happen in the future. Like that whole idea of like, hey, could you scrape my website and make a compelling landing page based on a mini course I haven't created yet? Like, could you create the mini course for me? Like you can ask AI to do all kinds of things. But what I'm seeing right now from the output of AI is that an expert needs to go over whatever the output is. I've had multiple plugins sent to me in the last month. I had AI make me this plugin. I want to put it on my website. Can you load it up for me? And I'm like, no, no, I cannot. So I'm really on a back to basics. We did this before, Emily, you and I, like about a year ago. I was really on a back to basics kind of runway, and I think I'm heading back to that back to basics runway. Like, unless you've got an equitable business with a lot of members and a lot of revenue, keep it simple, make your course, publish your course, build some revenue, build an audience, and then over time, based on feedback from your active people, add some of the extra tools and some of the cool things that we can do. But my fear is that some of these calls have turned into a, hey, if I could wish for anything, what if I wanted this to happen? And it's like, well, that's not really the core of what we're trying to communicate. We're trying to give entry-level course creators the quickest, fastest, most awesome runway to revenue that we know of. And that's just keeping it simple, using Lifter, use the native payment gateway, and sell a product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like the simple setup. If you can do it, I do the simple one for basically all of my websites.
Yeah, Juan says thank you. He's probably like, God, Kurt, shut up. Any words to the wise for a newbie? I saw that come in just as I was on my rant, and I was, boy, I sure hope he's paying attention right now. Kevin, welcome to the call. Welcome to the call. For a newbie, I can't stress enough. Minimal viable product. It doesn't have to be perfect to launch. I have a saying that says done is better than perfect. Get your ideas down. Like, don't think about it too long. Get your ideas down, make a course. A short course works great. Don't make like War and Peace and then see if you have an audience. Make a short course first. Do a proof of concept. Make sure that you've got some influence and people are willing to follow you and join you. And if you get some momentum, then up your offer. Come out with a course version 2, and then increase the pricing. Bring on some automation, some CRM tools. Work on some better marketing, things like that. But if someone comes in and says, "I am a newbie, I'm completely new to the whole thing," I'm like, simple is best. Simple. WordPress, LifterLMS, native payment gateway, load up a course. Let's see what happens. Roll that dice.
Yeah, I would say if you're new, just getting started, run as fast as you can in the opposite direction, cancel all your subscriptions, and just get the hell out of here. But yeah, I think it's good advice. Just focus on like what you're excited about. Follow the excitement. I think a lot of people end up in a place where they need to avoid shiny object syndrome to build a successful product, where it's like, oh, this is a cool new tool. But for me as a beginner, it's like figuring out what the cool new tools are is like a really great way to go. To be like, oh my gosh, look at this Buddy Boss, look at this new theme, look at all this stuff. Sometimes you got to like indulge in order to realize what's going to work best for your business. So I would
I have agency access to a ton of tools that barely ever get used now. Like I remember when they came out, I was like, oh, that's so cool. I got to have that. My customers are going to want that. And I was like, I subscribed, I bought, and then like, I played with it, but it's not really.
Yeah. It's like if you get in touch with customers as soon as possible, like real people really interacting with your product, and you play with some new tools, that's what I would do getting started. Those two things.
Mark Hansen's got a question. And Mark, welcome to the call. I think this is the first I've seen you today. Quizzes. Does Lifter allow for wrong answers to have my pre-written correct answer with reasoning? So we do have answer clarifications, but not during the question. Sometimes I feel that that's what people are looking for. We have show correct answers, and then we have results clarifications in our quizzing. So if you use result clarifications and show correct answers as the setting for your quiz, when they take the quiz, hit submit the quiz, they get the grade and the list of questions with green for correct and red for Juris do nod. And then they click on it, and when they click on them, it'll open up, and whatever you put in for your question, your clarifications is going to come up in that kind of summary of the quiz. So I was being really specific in the answer because I literally had a client yesterday that wanted the results clarification to come up as they answered the question. But you got to remember the way the quiz is built, submit is at the end, right? So if you have a 10 question quiz, it's going to go question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, all the way through. At the end of question 10, it's going to say submit the quiz. So the system gives you the ability to change your answer until you submit. And so it doesn't calculate or do the clarifications until post submission. So it's not like you answer a question and submit, and then answer another question and submit, and then answer another question and submit, and then at the end get the correlation of all 10 submissions. No, it's you answer the 10 questions and then you hit submit. So the response comes at the end. It doesn't come after each question.
Yeah.
I felt I had to be clear again. I'm telling you, you know what I need to do? I need to take a few days off from support. That's what I need to do. I need to take a few days off from support, because every time I see a question today in the chat, I'm like, oh, what are they really asking?
Right. I needed to take a few years off from support.
Yeah, say 1 out of 3 questions is wrong. Can I compel another run at the quiz? Absolutely, Mark. Absolutely, you can do that. You have the pardon me. In our quizzes, you have the ability to say you can't take the quiz over again, or you can take the quiz as many times as you want, or you can take the quiz as many times as I let you. You could say you can have 3 quiz attempts. So maybe they get 3 tries to get through it, and then if they fail on the 3rd time, you're like, so sorry for you. You need to retake the course. Let me reset your account. Like, you could literally run your endeavor that way. A lot of the clients that I have that are doing, course creator selling, to somebody, it's not like a real certification course. It is a, it's like a personal improvement kind of thing or something like that. So I wouldn't necessarily fail people and make them retake a course, right? So I would just say, yeah, you can have unlimited attempts. And so that lets them use the course as a resource, unlimited attempts to see if they've improved over time. All those kinds of things are cool. So I'm pretty happy with those selections. You have any thoughts on it, Emily? Because I just took over.
1 out of 3 questions is wrong. Yeah, I mean, you could set a passing percentage. So if they get, 66% or lower, that they have to redo it continuously before they move on.
Or if they're in California, 27%.
Is that like a failure rate?
Yeah, they came out with that. They said that 27% would pass in certain schools in California. I was like, you can get less than 3 out of 10 correct and still pass? That wasn't like that when I was a kid. We had to get a 70 when I was a kid. What'd you have to get?
59 was F.
Oh man, see, it's been changing. Kevin's like, ooh. Okay. Folks, we are getting near the end. Let me go back to a couple of things that we have in here. One is you can get 55% off. Just go to lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. lifterlms.com/AMA-gift. If you wanted to try Lifter LMS, you can go to lifterlms.com/try. lifterlms.com/try. And also, let's say you want to focus on running your business, but not running a website, hire an expert. Go to lifterlms.com/experts, lifterlms.com/experts. And it looks like we've got some. Juan waits till 58 minutes past the hour and puts in a long question. Now he's going to make me read. Juan, in Lifter LMS, I understand that when a person is reused across multiple courses, any changes such as replacing the video are automatically reflected in all instances of that lesson. That's when you're using Presto Player and your lessons are synced, when your videos are synced. Typically, Lifter LMS does not sync lessons from one course to another. So I know that on your particular website, you are using Presto Player and videos, and your videos are synced. So what would be required to enable the same kind of replication for associated quizzes so that updates to a quiz in one course are applied wherever that quiz is reused? And that is a no-go. So when you, in Lifter LMS, when you are working in the platform and you create, let's say you create a new course and you're like, I want to reuse these 5 lessons and these 5 quizzes. You can say, add a pre-existing lesson and it comes over, add a pre-existing quiz and it comes over. Once it comes over, it becomes its own thing. It's not synced. It's not synced at all. It's its own thing. And so that gives you the freedom, which is a bonus, gives you the freedom to make changes to either or. Let's say you have a course that's like level 1 education and another course that's like level 2. It's meant to be better than the other course. So you would write the whole course for level 1, and then you would kind of duplicate level 1, right, into an advanced course. And then you could add content to those lessons in that level 2 course. Those courses are unsynced and those quizzes are unsynced. They become their own entities. Where you can get past that is if when you are designing something from scratch and you are designing your blocks inside your lessons, you could make those groups and sync those groups or synced patterns. Is that crazy to say, Emily? I might be getting too deep in the woods here. You could make synced patterns and then import those patterns into those lessons. And then when you make changes to those lessons, they happen across multiple lessons. But that would be only in a synced pattern setup where every piece of content in your website became a synced pattern in a pattern library somewhere.
Yeah.
Never seen anyone do that one yet.
The synced pattern library?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a synced pattern library, but not for every course on a website.
Oh yeah. I've seen people put it together for like large curriculum packages. It's just like, have building blocks. It's a little bit fragile to manage those things because you really have to understand the block editor to not break your patterns all the time.
Correct. Well, folks, that does put us into overtime. Juan, I hope the answer was sufficient. You got me there. That was a long one at the end. Folks, have yourself a wonderful day. We will see you next week. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I will be mountain biking. I will not be on my phone. I will not be on a computer. I will be camping at a lake and mountain biking. Have a great day. See you next Thursday.